Okay, before I begin, you have to bear with me. Yesterday, there was a very exciting softball game, and I got a little too excited, started cheering a little too loud, and I happened to lose my voice. However, I decided to persevere through this and continue on with my Prefect homily today. I'll never forget my first day of kindergarten. I had a brand new backpack filled with only a single folder, which I would use to accomplish every single one of my hopes and dreams. As I walked into my classroom, I saw the weird figures my siblings turned into words all over the room. I sat down to learn to read these symbols in what I thought would be a breeze, but when I started to turn the figures into sounds, my classmates would laugh and my teacher would give me a look of pity. As time went on, I made slower progress than my classmates and began to hate school because it was frustrating. Was I stupid? I didn't know at the time, but this struggle would become my greatest gift. Good afternoon, Mr. Kidd, Mr. Postma, my family, fellow classmates, teachers, and faculty. Today I will tell you a story, my story, about facing a challenge that dampened my confidence and how I regained it to accomplish more than I ever thought I could. I feel so honored being here to present my Prefect homily. If someone told my grade 9 self, or for that matter, myself from September, that I'd be doing this, I wouldn't have believed you. I'm standing in front of you despite a personal challenge I faced my whole life. In 4th grade, I was diagnosed with dyslexia, which is a language-based learning difference that affects the area of the brain that processes language and makes it much more difficult to learn to read. When I received the diagnosis, I went from thinking that something might be wrong with me to knowing that something is wrong with me. I worried about my future and how it was different from all my friends. Why was I the different one? Now that I knew what my problem was, I would do anything to get rid of it. I moved to a new school that specialized in teaching people like me. I walked in cautiously on my first day and saw that the students seemed unusual. I'd never seen people so comfortable with who they were. At my new school, a class taught me about dyslexia. My brain is physically different, and while I have a hard time reading and processing language, my superpower is seeing the big picture and understanding nuance. The only way I would be able to learn is hard, consistent practice with no shortcuts available. I read and did homework for hours upon hours each night. These were the most difficult times of my life so far, but I went from thinking if I would be able to read to when. Once reading was more or less second nature, and I had connected with other students that are now some of my best friends, I regained that kindergarten confidence and once again felt like I could do anything. I started at Ridley in grade 9, petrified of what could be in store. I had spent the last several years in the safe space of my old school, where being dyslexic was a punchline to jokes where people laughed with you, not at you. At my old school, our common invisible challenges brought us together. At Ridley, I wouldn't dare joke about dyslexia, remembering how I felt in kindergarten when my teacher gave me that look of pity. Why do you even take IB classes? Can you read for me? I've never heard a dyslexic read before. Is it contagious? These are all things that students said to me after I left my old school. The enthusiastic kindergartner in me once again started to doubt herself. After all the work I did to build confidence, it was painful to see how easily someone could take it away. Kate, your extra time on test is basically cheating. Wow, you're lucky. Everything seems so easy for you. You don't look dyslexic. What does dyslexia look like? Dyslexia looks like someone who stops at nothing and works 10 times as hard to achieve their goals. Dyslexia looks like half my friends. Dyslexia looks like someone who doubted themselves, someone that used to put too much importance in what others said about them, but now could not care less. Dyslexia looks like me. Despite the embarrassment and doubt I receive from others, it can only be myself who allows them to get to me. Over the years, I learned to reframe my dyslexia into a tool to train myself to work harder and to form deeper relationships with people who have stronger inner worlds than anyone could imagine. Whether it begins with others making you doubt yourself or doubt coming straight from inside you, the only rule to success is not giving up. For every person doubting me, there was another person who gave me hope and reinforced the belief that I could do anything I put my mind to. I listened to people with the right message and reminded myself that when someone is negative towards someone else, it is only due to fear within themselves. Recently, someone asked me if I wish I wasn't dyslexic. I said no. I love my life, and my life would be very different without it. Even though when I received the diagnosis, I thought my life was ruined. It turns out that without dyslexia, I would not be nearly as hardworking, empathetic, or open-minded. The kindergartner in me was discouraged, only to come back stronger than ever, and that's a blessing. If you're streaming this on an iPhone or Mac, thank Steve Jobs, who was dyslexic. If you're watching this on a Windows product, thank Bill Gates, who's dyslexic. If you're watching this under the glow of these lights, thank the boy who came home from school with a note pinned to his shirt that read, "This boy is too stupid to learn." That boy was Thomas Edison, who was also dyslexic. These three gentlemen had the courage to stand up for themselves in the face of their challenges. I encourage you to do the same regardless of your own personal challenge, large or small, and never let a label define you. Thank you for listening, and thank you to the Ridley community for showing me that anything is possible. Go make your 5-year-old self proud. We will all benefit.